Okay, so if you have any questions, there's a microphone. If you don't have any questions, then thanks for coming. Goodbye.
First of all, thank you for inspiring us. My question is there consciousness without human beings?
There is only consciousness. Human beings are an experience in consciousness. So, your question is, there are no human beings. My answer is, there are no human beings. There's only consciousness. This, as a human being, is an experience in consciousness, right? And consciousness is not our personal property. It's universal. And so, as humans, though, we have what we might call a species-specific mode of that consciousness. A bird has a different consciousness. And we might even go a little finer then. The bird has a different mind, or other species have different minds. But behind all these different minds, the same consciousness. Think of water. Water in the ocean, water as a glacier, water as a rainbow, water as a cloud, water as a river, water as a waterfall, water as a whirlpool, water reflecting the light of the sun on a glacier as different objects. There's only consciousness. The essence of everything in existence is consciousness. Everything else is a modified form of it, whether we call it a brain, or a mind, or a body, or a rock. That's all there is.
Hi, Deepak. Thank you for allowing us to ask you questions. I appreciate it. When trying to find one's Dharma, how would being in the present moment help this? And is there a particular good time while meditating to introduce the intention of finding one's Dharma?
Okay, so the way we've structured these meditations, just that one question before meditation or during meditation, what's my purpose? Letting it go. Allowing any sensation, image, feeling, thought to come to you. Not kind of focusing too hard on it, let it come to you, because what is true for you will keep recurring. And soon you'll find yourself actually in that stream of Dharma rather than struggling for it. And that will become apparent to you either through a situation or a circumstance or an event or a relationship or what we call synchronicity, meaningful coincidences. So that the ritual of daily meditation with the 4 questions, with the gradual kind of what we say, gradual unfolding of assumed identity into true identity. You know, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this, and finally mantra, and then all of it settling into restful awareness, and those 4 intentions. It's all there. It's all one prescription.
Good morning. My question is, and maybe others struggle with this, but in the morning after I meditate, I'm ready. I believe I am the universe. I am connected. And then I go out and I'm reactive to social media, politics, everything. Can you offer some tools when I find myself getting swept away by reacting to what is not really reality?
So first of all, it happens to me as well. So, however, when we went through a principle, the highest intelligence is the ability to observe yourself without judging yourself. So when you feel that impulse to react, in a sense, put the pause button and just observe your reaction to react. Like it's a fraction of a second. Observe your reaction to react. The urgency of reacting will go away. If you do it enough, you won't react.
Hi. This morning, toward the end of your talk, you're making a distinction between experience and awareness, and I didn't quite catch that, so I was wondering if you could elaborate on that a little bit.
I thought I spent 90 minutes, but I'll do it again. So, and this is a technique that Rupert Spira uses. He's a great non-dual teacher. So I'm going to ask everyone a question and just say yes to the answer as the answer, okay? So the question is, are you aware?
Yes.
Can you be a little more enthusiastic? Are you aware?
Yes.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you the same question, but don't answer yes till I raise my hand. Are you aware?
Yes.
Okay, so the question, are you aware, is a thought. As a thought, it's an experience. The answer, yes, is a thought. And as a thought, it's an experience. You experience the thought. In between is awareness. So I'm going to ask you the same question now, but don't answer it. Just slip into that which is listening to me right now. So somebody is listening there. Okay? As I say, aware, are you aware? Just be aware of that which is listening. Are you aware? This presence is awareness. It's prior to experience. Experience is in the form of a thought or an emotion or a perception or an image. But awareness is prior to that. So anyone who's studied philosophy will be familiar with the phrase of Descartes, I think, therefore I am. Well, he was wrong. I am, therefore I think. Before the thought is awareness. Okay, before the perception is awareness. So awareness is the presence of being, the presence of spirit, the presence of presence. That's all it is. And it's I. Does that help? Yes.
Hi, Deepak.
Hi.
My question is, I've had a lot of trauma in my life and can't always control when repressed memories flood into my awareness. Any advice on how to navigate through that?
Okay. So, of course, the memories are there in awareness, but they don't have to be your experience. Anything that's happened is there in awareness as a possible memory. Okay? But it doesn't have to be part of your current experience.
Okay.
And I say this with hesitation because psychotherapy is so popular. But the more you analyze the trauma, the more you put attention on it, the worse it gets. That's why people stay in therapy forever. Okay, because keep analyzing it, trying to understand, what did my mother do to me? Or whatever, who said what, etc. That's part of your memory bank. It'll never go away. But to pay attention to it is a choice, right? You can say, Should I pay attention to this? Or should I pay attention to this beautiful rainbow? Or to this music? Or to this new relationship? Don't let that overshadow who you are. That fixation on the trauma is also, in our language, it's also called karma. So you're not unique in that, okay? Everybody is, in a way, imprisoned by karma. But karma is now an experience, a memory that has also become part of your identity. And it's not who you are. It's I attached to those traumatic memories. Okay, so in a way, karma is like being addicted to a memory. And the memory could be painful or it could be pleasurable. So addiction to pleasurable experiences, whether it's sex or drugs. Drugs were pleasurable when the person first started them. Okay, but now they're suffering, but they can't get enough of what they don't want anymore. Okay, so you can't get enough of what you don't want anymore is, by definition, addiction. So the freedom from that comes from letting it, not even suppressing it, because by the way, if you suppress those traumatic memories, anything you suppress, you've heard the expression, what you resist persists. So you can't suppress them either. You don't want to analyze them either because you're giving them attention. When they come up, observe them like observing clouds in the sky. You know, allow them to come and they go. And that's true of any thought, by the way, and it's also true of any limiting belief. Okay, so how many people have heard the name Katie Byron? Okay, so her book deals with this a little way, the work as it's called. She asks 4 questions. First of all, is this that traumatic memory? I'll rephrase her questions because not exactly the way she does it, but your situation is different. So I would say, is this past memory hurting me? Answer is yes, right? Does it have to hurt me? Answer is no. But let's assume the answer was yes. There are only 2 choices, yes or no. So if it doesn't have to hurt me, you've answered it correctly. But then you can ask the question again, slightly differently. Am I 100% sure that this memory has to hurt me? Are you? No, right? What is holding on to this memory doing to me? You already know that. You're suffering from it. Who would I be if I didn't attach myself to this memory? You'd be free. What is the opposite of this? This memory doesn't have to hurt me. So that's one way. The other way is meditation, because meditation allows you to go past that. Okay, mindfulness, the metacognition that I spoke about earlier.
Hi, Deepak.
Hi.
In our world where we are constrained by time limitations,
Our world is insane.
right?
You are here to pick up your visitor's badge. Okay, not be part of the insanity.
How do we manage to not multitask? And to
How do you manage to not multitask? You tell yourself, it's messing my brain. It's causing my body to be inflamed. Ultimately, inflammation leads to disease. I want to be well. So every time you have the temptation to multitask, remind yourself. Also, you can set times to do different things. See, I'm here, but I don't have my phone with me. Or if I had it, it would be off. Okay, so it's not a distraction, it's not even a possibility. The most important time in your life is now. That's all you have now. The most important task at hand is the one that's most important right now. The most important people in your life are the ones in front of you right now. It's become aware of that. And also, that which we call our unconscious mind, which is actually not really unconscious, it's our awareness. Our conscious mind is a limited part of our awareness, our consciousness. Your consciousness is already multitasking. Okay? So, your consciousness is right now regulating your heart rate, your blood pressure, your immune system. If somebody was pregnant, it would be making a baby. It can do infinite number of things all at the same time. So that is already happening. But on a conscious level, set aside time. This is the time when I will look at email, maybe twice a day. Okay? This is the time for sleep. During sleep, by the way, your body totally rejuvenates. And even in deep sleep, your awareness is multitasking. It's getting rid of toxins, it's consolidating memories, it's getting rid of all the emotional stresses, it's dreams. So people who miss sleep because of multitasking, they do worse. I mean, I tell students all the time in universities, if you have a choice to study or sleep, sleep. And your performance will be better, and it is. Okay, because at that time, things are sorted out, memories are consolidated, learning is happening, stresses are removed. Same thing with meditation. So set aside meditation time, sleep time, relationship time, tasking time, and then at work, focused work time. Focused work time. You'll perform much better.
Hi, Deepak. Thank you for sharing yourself with us.
Thank you.
I feel like for me, your 21-day guided meditations, your webinars, your books, they've been
Thank you.
very transformative. The Ananda app, all those things have been great tools. But now that we have our personal mantra, if previously we were doing these guided meditations, is there still a place for those, or is the primordial sound meditation really a superior form that we should stick to? Or do we go back
Those
and
guided
forth?
meditations are the entry to the door, and they have also purpose. They're purpose-driven, right? Mm-hmm. Like desire and destiny, or perfect health, etc. Use them selectively. But as a daily ritual, primordial sound.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity. I have a question regarding health and sickness. I understand sickness is a perception.
Say that again?
That sickness is a perception.
It's an experience.
An experience. I struggle with this at work sometimes. I see two people, same condition, one improves and the other doesn't. And yet the person who doesn't do well is the one who, is positive, has positive intentions. How do we understand that?
So, first of all, sickness is a very complex thing. It's not about having positive intentions or negative thoughts, etc. There's nothing more exasperating than the person who's positive all the time, even if they're not feeling positive. You just want to, who's this? Okay. It's more important to be natural than to be positive. So what do we know these days? These days, this is what we know. One thing we know for sure is that only 5% of disease-related gene mutations. So gene mutations are genetic errors that make it likely that you'll have a disease. Only 5% of disease-related gene mutations are fully penetrant, which means they guarantee the disease, like Down syndrome, for example. certain types of cancer, BRCA gene in a woman with breast cancer. Those we don't know how to handle right now, those 5%. And hopefully, as we know more about genetics in the future, we'll know more about how to handle them at the level of drugs or what we call smart therapies, genetic therapies. 95% of disease is related to low-grade inflammation in the body. So what is inflammation? Inflammation is a protective response. When you fall down and you injure yourself, that bruise is inflammation. So you get that bruise because your body will otherwise bleed to death. Also, you get that bruise because that bruise is the activation of the immune system, so it'll try and make sure that it doesn't get infected. If you keep it clean also, that helps. So acute inflammation, whether it's is a response to any kind of injury. The injury could be traumatic injury, or it could be an infection, or it could be an environmental agent, pollution, etc. So, as I said, acute inflammation is a protective response to help you recover. However, there is something called low-grade chronic inflammation. And low-grade chronic inflammation is now felt to be the background in 95% of chronic illness. Doesn't matter what the illness is. Cancer, heart disease, autoimmune illness, people who keep getting infections all the time. Across the board, heart disease, Alzheimer's disease, cancer, 95% is low-grade chronic inflammation. So what are things that will minimize chronic inflammation based on good research? The first is, I already mentioned that, sleep. Sleep will minimize and get rid of inflammation and toxins. And this is not in order of importance. This is all the things. I call them the 6 pillars. Okay, so the first pillar is sleep. Second pillar is meditation. We also know now that meditation decreases inflammation in the body, but also triggers those genes or gene activities that cause self-regulation or healing, and minimizes those gene activities that cause inflammation. We call this meditation maximizes homeostasis or self-regulation, minimizes inflammation. So that would be the second pillar. As I said, they're not in order of importance. They're all equally important. The third is movement. Now, people, of course, talk about exercise, but the research shows that if you walk 10,000 steps a day, that's good enough. And if you stand up periodically, say every hour, that's helpful. Now, in our case here, we say movement is great, but movement combined with yoga and pranayama is better. So yoga has very specific effects on the body. It stimulates the vagus nerve, which also goes to your microbiome. It changes microbial expression. It improves heart rate variability. It has more effects than simple exercise. Also taking breathing breaks. Now, of course, in yoga, there is a lot of information about pranayama and which breathing increases energy, which calms you down, which increases endurance, which helps to sleep. And I think even a short breathing break every hour, will actually reset your vagal tone, which maximizes healing. By the way, and this is for our staff as well, there's a new app called the Breathing app that was created by Eddie Stern and myself, and we launched it yesterday. It's called the Breathing app. It's also free, and it helps you take a short 5-minute breathing break, and there are 3 versions of it. You can download it. I would suggest you download it now or after the lecture, and just the Breathing app, iTunes, and it helps you slow down your breathing rate from the normal, which is 15 or 14, to 7 or 8. And if you get a little practice, even less. And you will see immediately the effects on relaxation, etc. It was launched yesterday, and within a few hours there were like 5,000 downloads. And we're getting great reviews. So download that if you can, the Breathing app. That's all it's called, the Breathing app. And then download Jio, which is our internet for well-being, which has many other things on it. It has yoga experts, relationship experts. So the way you spell Jio is J-I-Y-O. It's also free. You can download it. So yoga and breathing are very important pillars for well-being in our research. The 4th pillar is emotions. It's not positive thoughts. It's emotions. So, emotions as they occur in relationship. The more love you experience, the more joy you experience, the more you focus on empathy and compassion, that will trigger the right neurochemicals like dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, opiates. There's another one called anandamide, which is the neurotransmitter that is associated with joy. So emotions are a very important pillar. The 5th is nutrition. And nutrition means anything that doesn't come from a factory. Food that is processed, refined, manufactured, has too much sugar, or insecticides, pesticides, hormones, antibiotics, steroids. That's most of food that comes from a factory and in a grocery store. So if you can get your food from a farmer's market, or at least focus on food that is organic and natural. Unfortunately, there's no labeling laws. People are not bound by those laws either. So you have to find the right food for yourself. What about supplements? We believe that certain supplements are helpful, like malaki, and these are natural substances, Triphala. They not only help with homeostasis and self-regulation, but they decrease inflammation. That would be the 5th pillar. And then the 6th pillar is grounding, which is contact with the earth. So if you walk barefoot on the earth, walk barefoot on the grass, walk barefoot on the beach, how many people have done that? They feel better, right? You feel good. And that is because when you have contact with the earth, first of all, you reset your circadian rhythms. This last week, the Nobel Prize in Medicine went to people who discovered the genetic clocks in our body. But, Ayurveda, we've known about these for thousands of years, about these clocks. And these clocks get reset when you connect with the earth in any way, and also decreases inflammation. So either you walk on the earth periodically for a little bit, barefoot, or these days you can get grounding devices. So they're just little pieces of wire that you can attach to a cushion or a chair or a yoga mat, and it goes through the grounding wire, connects you to the earth. And you can find those also on the Jio app if you look it up. And they're grounding chairs. Those are the 6 pillars of well-being that decrease inflammation in the body. Now, the Chopra Foundation, which is our research arm, we are collaborating with Harvard School of Public Health soon, and Brown University School of Public Health, and UCSD, and many other people to actually measure inflammation in the body. Right now, there are a couple of tests, like C-reactive protein, there's one, there's something called, procalcitonin, there's something called even sedimentation rate. So we're looking at what these markers are, because we believe that unhealthy inflammatory emotions, not negative thoughts, inflammatory emotions, which is anger, resentment, grievances, hostility, guilt, shame, these actually also call inflammation in the mind. And inflammation in the mind causes inflammation in the brain. Inflammation in the brain causes inflammation in the body. And inflamed body minds cause violence in the world. Violence is an inflammatory disease. People haven't identified it as such. So this is our goal, to measure inflammation, to target this as the #1 epidemic of civilization right now, and link social violence, war, terrorism, it's all, you look at violent people and their brains are inflamed. So this is going to be a very huge effort on our part. So as I said, it's complex, but it's manageable. And you don't know what a person's internal life is, or what their relationships are like, or what's happening in their professional relationships. It's very difficult. But more self-awareness, the better.
Hi, Deepak. So my question is about the flow state, and you may have already touched on this with other people's questions, but basically, how do you stay in the flow state consistently and live in the flow state while also living in a very fast-paced, high-demand, high-stress environment?
Okay, so as I said, you can either join the lunatic asylum or you can pick up your visitor's badge, okay, and watch the show. Upgrade the illusion. Here's one thing you can do. One of them is, of course, what you're here for, the practice, daily practice. I think that's very important. The other 6 pillars that I mentioned, they're very important. Once in a while, when you get caught up in that stressful situation, ask yourself one simple question: am I aware? And then become aware of your breath. That's simple. Ask yourself, am I aware? Maybe become aware of your body. Or use something like the breathing app I mentioned for a few minutes. The more you pay attention to that, the more you realize that no matter how crazy the world is, you can still be centered. And you can take that wherever you go. Sheila showed that biofield slide the other day. You remember which one I'm talking about? You should have it ready. Let's see if we can show that slide. It's also now in the future of well-being. But yeah, that's the slide. So this is a slide the other day Sheila was showing, Dr. Sheila Patel. Has she spoken to you yet? Well, later today? You're in for a treat. Okay, so this is a slide which shows that your thoughts and emotions affect the heart's magnetic field, which energetically affects those in our environment, whether or not we are conscious of it. So not only our emotions and thoughts, but I would go further, our state of being. If you're at peace with yourself, by being centered in awareness, then even without you saying anything, without you doing anything, you will affect people in your environment. They won't know what's happening to them, but they'll energetically shift, even animals. So there's a famous expression, who you are shouts so loudly, I cannot hear what you're saying. So your being, your state of being in that state of centered awareness is the most important thing you can do, not only for your stress, but other people.
Hi, Deepak. Thank you for sharing your experience with us. I'm assuming what you were talking about with inflammation, that addiction would be an inflammation?
That they what?
Addiction would be inflammation.
Addictive behavior can lead to inflammation, yes.
Okay.
And then the inflammation, of course, perpetuates the addictive behavior, yes.
So if before the thought there is awareness, and then the thought is negative or harmful to the self, how do you change that awareness before the next thought and subsequent actions?
Awareness is ground state. The more you have access to it, the more thoughts will change spontaneously. But as it pertains specifically to your question about addiction, addiction is being hooked to a memory of what was once maybe a pleasurable behavior but is now causing you a lot of suffering. Since we cannot get rid of the memory, right? We can only overshadow it with better memories, new memories. So that's why we feel that the cure for addiction, we feel there's a cure for addiction, is first to be learning to go to the ground state of awareness through meditation, all the other things, yoga, but also through purification, through massage, through detox procedures, which also decrease inflammation in what is called the microbiome. So we have 24,000 human genes, 23,000, 24 human genes, but we have 2 million bacterial genes in our body. And these bacterial genes are in our skin, in our different orifices, mouth, eyes, ears, vagina, colon, stomach. So detox, this is what we do here, panchakarma, which is get rid of the toxins and then reset the microbiome. So in addition to the 6 pillars of well-being, periodic detox. There's a center in Vancouver, outside of Vancouver, Chopra Center for Addiction, where they specialize in addiction, not by reinforcing the idea, oh, you're an addict, you'll never get better. Every day we wake up and think, remind yourself, you're an addict. That works for some people, doesn't work for others. Get rid of the toxins in the body, practice the 6 pillars, and choose new experiences in relationship, because those you hang out with is very important, So you always, particularly for addiction, you should have people and you should stay with people who are healthy and who want you to be healthy. The more you do that, the more likely those experiences will overshadow the other experiences. Okay, so choose joy. Always choose joy in your relationships, in where you find yourself, and let that joy overshadow your addictive experiences. Who made this slide? It's very nice. Show it to them. Whose slide is this? Okay, you should put that in my presentation. It's beautiful. Show this. So Renee made it. Who am I from nature's perspective? 90% of your body consists of bacteria, 10% human cells. Those bacteria trace back to the beginning of life. You are an ecosystem of the earth, of the universe. This microbiome responds to everything: food, sleep, thoughts, emotions, stress levels, social interactions. These practices, meditation, yoga, breathing, They all move your body in the direction of homeostasis, and they have a effect on all these other diseases. You should put that in my presentation, Renee. Thank you. So here's one more thing to know, and this will be soon a very prominent part of therapy in addiction, but also in almost every chronic illness. You can get your microbiome tested. Okay, I'm sure there are many companies. I'm right now in conversation with a company that wants me to become their scientific advisor. I haven't yet joined them, but I'm looking at them. The name of the company is Viome, V-I-O-M. And so you don't need a doctor's prescription. They send you a sampling kit, and you send a little bit of a stool sample on a swab, and then they analyze your microbiome, and they tell you which foods are healthy for you, your particular microbiome. And resetting the microbiome may be a very important factor in treating addiction. Now, as I said, this is a new company. It's a startup. They also use what is called artificial intelligence to analyze the microbiome. They've got some of the best scientists. I haven't fully explored it, but I am exploring it. If it's not this company, there are others. Okay, there's another company called Habit, which is a startup also by Campbell's Soup. So Campbell's Soup wants to make healthy foods in the future, and what they do is, again, analysis of your inflammation in the body. So inflammation may be the root to addictive behavior as well. I strongly feel about that. So if you want to try these technologies, you're welcome to. I'm not endorsing them. I'm just mentioning that these are up-and-coming technologies that will become either these technologies or something better version of these are all happening as we speak. Okay, Habit, Viome. Yes.
Hi. My question has to do with ego. I see a correlation with the more success that I accumulate, the more external power I accumulate, the bigger my ego seems to get. You speak about having a petty tyrant as a vehicle to maybe drive your ego out of yourself. With all your success, how do you manage your ego, and what techniques would you articulate to us?
I am surrounded by people who don't take me seriously. Usually that's your family, right? So you have to do that, and you shouldn't believe your own press, okay? And you should also know that success is, of course, the progressive realization of goals, worthy goals, which can include money, fame, and fortune. But if that's all you have, then you're not successful. Success is also having relationships that matter, people that matter in your life, and for whom you make a difference. It's not only friends and family, but you're making a difference in other people's lives. And you feel happy when you do that. When you make other people happy, you feel happy. And it doesn't cost money. You have to just listen to them. You have to show them that you care. You have to have some degree of affection, appreciation, attention, and acceptance. And you'll make people very happy, and then you feel happy, okay? So success is not only the realization of progressive realization of worthy goals, it's the ability to love, have compassion, enjoy relationships, to make other people happy, and to find meaning and purpose. Then you are truly successful.
Thank you so much, Deepak, for sharing your experiences. I kind of feel like I know you because I listen to all your social media and watch you, and now you're like in front of me, or my reality for now.
It's an experience I is having.
I have a two-pronged question, and it's really related to meditation and dreams. I guess I'm trying to figure out how dreams kind of help me answer the questions that I asked during...
How what?
Dreams help me answer the questions I asked during meditation. And also, how do I it sounds so simple when everybody says it, like when you have a thought during meditation, just welcome the thought and let it go. But I seem to keep going back to the same thought of being a child, and what I now realize is that I was kind of meditating because I would look out at myself from the outside and ask myself, who am I? And this thought keeps coming up since I received my primordial meditation mantra. It keeps coming up, and I don't know if I should welcome it, or like I feel like it's taking me away from focusing on my mantra. And how do I embrace that thought and let it go?
Thought is what we call the upward stroke of meditation. As long as we are alive, there is thought. Okay? Only in deep sleep there is no thought. In dream state there is thought, right? So as long as there's experience, there is thought. By the way, I should have mentioned earlier that thought, emotions, perceptions, sensations are entangled. Entangled means they all influence each other. The thought influences emotion, emotion influences perception, or how we experience the world. If you came to my house for, say, a party or something, and I told you, oh, you know that guy over there, he's wanted for tax evasion by the government. And the next person who came, I said, same person, he just won the Nobel Prize. You too would perceive that person totally differently. Our perceptions, our thoughts, our emotions are entangled. And what are they the result of? They are the result of past experiences, or what we call karma. Okay? So karma is surfacing as thoughts and memories and desires and imagination and questions, all of that. So just be grateful that you have thought in meditation. It's the upward stroke of meditation. The mantra is the downward stroke of meditation. And in meditation, your consciousness is like waves on the ocean. The bottom of the ocean is pure consciousness. Okay, anything in between the bottom of the ocean and the surface is some kind of activity. Okay, and the surface of the ocean is the waves. Upward stroke, downward. You can't have a wave unless there's an upward stroke and downward stroke. So know that, and then be happy with it. If it's thought, it's fine. If it's mantra, it's fine. If it's only mantra, you'll get a headache. And if it's only thought, you'll get stressed. But it's mantra and thought that you're riding the waves.
Hi, Deepak. I saw you for the first time when I was very, very young on Donahue, and you have been expanding my mind ever since, or my experience, or my awareness, or all of it. So thank you for having served as a teacher in my life throughout my entire life. When we lose someone we love, through death or breakup, we begin to relate them to the pain we felt when we lost them. How do we experience the memory of them or keep them in our awareness and choose not to experience the pain their departure caused that's been related to them?
Okay, good question. When you lose a relationship or when you lose someone from your life, or you lose anything, that was a major part of your experience, then the natural emotion that emerges is what we call grief. If you avoid and suppress that emotion, it gets worse. Okay, so as I said earlier, anything that's suppressed, whatever you resist, it gets worse. I would say that if you've lost a person in your life, you embrace that grief, but you also bring in the happiest moments of that relationship in your life. And you keep feeling your body at the same time. That energy that is associated with loss, with grief, and the memories. And like anything that has an energy, It arises, it stays, and then it dissipates. So what's the phrase of Rumi? The cure of pain is in the pain. It's not around the pain. You go through it. And if you go through it with full acceptance of your grief, also feel your body, because your body is where it's all locked in. There's no emotion that's not part of our body. That's why we call our emotions feelings, right? We feel them. The more you feel them without judging them, the more awareness you're bringing to them. And awareness heals.
Hi, Deepak. I am struggling with the practice of non-attachment. I wonder how you balance being non-attached while still having personal goals around, your life or your body. How do you balance not being attached to the outcome of the actions that you're doing to achieve those goals?
Okay, that's a great question, and many people ask that. Just remember that when you have a goal and you're focused on the process, the goal is more likely to be achieved. So it's a quality of attention. Let's say I want to get good grades, and I'm only thinking about the grades. That'll interfere with my studying, right? But if I study, then the grades are guaranteed, right? If I want to walk from here to there, and I keep looking there, I'm going to stumble here. Okay, but if I focus on where I am, I'll get there. So it's a balance. The goal is always there. Okay, and the goal is subtle. That's why in our meditation practice, we don't even ask you to write down your goals. We say, what do I want? Right? And then whatever comes up is your goals. You don't have to think about it. The experience is live the questions of what you want. What's your purpose? What are you grateful for? Who you really are. Our 4 questions. The goals are a byproduct. So no one should ever give up goals. We are goal-seeking biological organisms. And human goals go way beyond the goals of other species, whose only goal is to survive and to mate and to have sex. We have so many other goals. So it's always good to live the question, what I want. Okay, and then allow your consciousness, which is infinite at its source, to organize the fulfillment. That is why this practice will help you in your goals. Okay? A vision is always good. And in fact, you can even, if you want, if you've been a very goal-oriented person, you should ask yourself, when I get to the goal, how will I feel? When I get to that goal, whatever it is, how will I feel? Start then feeling that now. That feeling, because there's a feeling associated with any accomplishment. Familiarize with that feeling and anchor yourself to that feeling. And feeling are always a bodily experience. Okay, so thank you very much. It was wonderful to be with you. And there's a lot more coming. Dr. Sheila Patel will be talking to you, and I'm sure others. But have a wonderful day. Thank you.